Message to my mom. Message to my mom.
Hello, mommy. Mother. Hey, mom. 7 episodes deep. This is episode 7. And in case you just randomly did finally figure out how to download it and you're starting with the most recent episode and you haven't heard anything yet, but please let me just ask you to, well, first of all, welcome and hi. And I love you very much. And secondly, please turn it off. Please, Mom, I beg you, do not listen to the podcast. I would appreciate it if you didn't. I discuss things that you might not like to hear, and I just love you, and please don't turn it off. Thank you. Thanks, Mom.
Message to my mom. Message to
a beautiful waste of time. A waste of time. A beautiful waste of time. A waste of time.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Hi. Welcome to the Julian Dion Comedy Hour podcast. This is episode number 7. Shit, yeah. Coming at you from not quite Lemon Press Studios, but sort of Lemon Press Studios. I took my gear home, and I'm recording this episode, this intro at least, part of the episode, in my kitchen, which is the original concept of, that's where I got the idea for Lemon Press Studios. As I mentioned in the first episode, this podcast has been an idea of mine for years, and I thought I'd initially just start it in my kitchen. And of course, in my kitchen, you can find a lemon press that I use every morning. And so I thought, hey, Lemon Press Studios, it came to me. Pow. And so then I rented, now I got a space, an office, studio, and I figured I'd just call it Lemon Press Studios. See that vision through, if you will. Thanks for being here. It's Friday. It's a little later than I usually post the episodes. It's Friday evening right now. And first of all, how are you? You're good? You're not so good? Whether you're good or not, it doesn't matter. For the next hour and a bit, just be here. Be present. I'm here with you. In your earballs. Earballs? Eardrums. Or earballs. If you have some sort of genetic ear mutation, maybe you do have earballs. Or maybe you're a Olympic-style Greco-Roman wrestler and have or UFC fighter and have cauliflower ears, in which case maybe it looks like you have earballs. Or maybe you haven't cleaned your ears in a long time and you have earballs. In them, wax balls of wax in your ear. Okay. So, I'm here. Oh, little news. My NutriBullet still works, but it smells like garbage now every time I use it. An aroma of pure, potent garbage comes from inside of it because there's rotting food in it, I guess. some smoothie that I told you about in an earlier episode. So there's that. Every time there's nothing like starting your day off with a garbage smoothie. That's what it smells like in the kitchen. Is that trash? Yeah, it's good for you. Protein trash. I'm having a bit of problems. I'm having problems. This is when problems meet trouble, or problems cause you trouble in your life. iTunes, for some reason, again, the podcast is up on iTunes, but I checked it out yesterday. For some reason in the store, all the episodes are gone. They're still there if you have the app, the podcast app. You get all the feed, but anyway, I don't understand. I thought we were iTunes. I thought we had gone through this. I thought we were good. I thought we had made amends. Go fuck yourself. But so I emailed them, of course, again, no phones. So I emailed them and they said it's a bug on their end. So within the next 24 hours, you should see all the episodes, but it doesn't affect anything if you are subscribed. So just subscribe to that shit and rate it and comment on it because that helps. Please, please. I don't mean to be demanding or, just do that for me. I'm just tired of technology, I guess. It's too much, isn't it? Just screens and bright lights and garbage smelling NutriBullets technology. I mean, obviously it's good, but I'm just tired of... Last night I came home and no technology. Turned off everything. My phone, which I forgot you could even turn off. No TV, nothing, just a little reading lamp. And I just sat there with my thoughts. Have you ever done that? It's the mere thought of it is terrifying, but it's quite nice to just turn off the mind. Because it's so loud all the time. Everything's fucking phones and computer screens and Facebook and Twitter and information and false information, hoax. Everything's a hoax now on the internet, so you're reading all this shit, just garbage for the mind. And I have this rule where I don't bring the phone in the bedroom at night, so we just go to bed. And I think everyone should do that because we need time to unwind. Remember pre-smartphone era? Holy shit, was that not a thing? It's become too much stimulus, if I may. Now your phones, you can't even... They're phones, but they're more like computers. You barely use them as a phone. Do you ever get a phone call? You're like, what's wrong? Hello? Is there an emergency? Why are you calling me? Why aren't you texting me? That's way better, because I can avoid that better. Which, by the way, it's so hard now to not return someone's phone call. The immediacy now is just ingrained in our culture and technology. If someone tries to get a hold of you, you need to get back right away. That's just the world we live in now. With text and email and Facebook and voicemail and phone calls, people can just get a hold of you at all times. And it's weird if you don't get back to them. It's bullshit. I had a friend call me the other day. I missed his call. Left me a voicemail. 10 minutes later, texted me. Then sent me a Facebook message. My friend's a little needy. But this is the world we live in. And your devices now have turned against you. They rat you out. You can't open a message or a text without your phone telling the other person, he read it. He read your message at 10:34, by the way. And then your phone tells you, by the way, I let him know that you read it at 10:34, so you better reply. It's like this weird... You can't not get back to... So now I just don't return any phone calls. I'm the hardest man to reach. Fuck it. I don't owe anything to anyone. But it's just always there, and communication, and it's exhausting even thinking about it. Technology is advancing, I think, too fast. Do you ever get a voicemail? That's weird too. Everyone pays for voicemail now, but no one uses it. Any voicemail I get, I'm like, oh, I have a new message, and 9 times out of 10 it's just click. Someone listens to the whole thing. Your call has been transferred to an automatic voice message service system. Dion is not available. At the tone, please leave a message. Click. Who waits the whole time, by the way? Who does that? Stop doing that if you're one of those people. Everyone texts. It's too much. And I also find, like, your phones are basically used now for texting or porn. I find it weird that you use the same device for both things. I find it odd that you can, with the same device, you can jerk off to porn and get a phone call from your mom. That never happened back in the day. That was never... You never would be perusing through the, bra section of the Sears catalog and then turn the page and it's your mom. Hey, hi, son. On the same thing. That never happened before. But it can now. That's a plausible thing, totally. We're just carrying around these little computer porn machines in our pockets. Communication that anyone can get a hold of you at all times. And now with the world's information at our fingertips, we're not fascinated by anything anymore. Nothing surprises you because you can Google it. And that gives you the misconception that you know things, but we don't know more. It's just Google knows it. It's just all there. Anything you want to find. We used to be so much more fascinated as a people before, as a culture, Things used to fascinate us way more. Remember the caramel secret? Oh my God! How do they get the caramel inside the caramel bar? Wow! They're full ad campaigns around how to get this caramel inside of it. Millions of dollars spent on advertising. It's a secret. You can't have that secret now. Commercial comes on. How do you get the caramel inside the caramel bar? Instant Google. Molds. There are two molds. I mean, everyone knows that. There are two. You take one mold, and then there's you put the caramel. Then you take another mold, and then you put those two together. I probably should have Googled it, but I can guarantee it's an easy find. Let me Google it right now. I'm gonna do this right now. Let me see. Google. Okay, Safari, Google. How do they get caramel right away into caramel bars? Okay, here we go. Cadbury caramel secret. Okay, right away. How do they? Okay, search number. It comes up first result. You just put how do they get the caramel, and it comes up. Okay, how do they get? Okay, here we go. Click on the first one. Yahoo Answers. You can get anything on Yahoo Answers. How do they get the caramel in caramel bars? I was right. I guessed it. A mold. See? A metal mold that they coat with chocolate that has cavities, which they fill with the caramel, then cool to semi-solid, after which they finish coating it with chocolate. And when it cools enough to be solid on the assembly line, it goes through the final chocolate finishing coat. Boom. No secret. No multi-million-dollar ad campaign. I found it. 10 seconds. But I remember literally seeing that commercial and thinking about it for a long time. Not like too long, but I remember spending time. How do they get the caramel inside the caramel bar? Well, now technology. This is, by the way, this is like a cheap version of Mythbusters without any production value. We're not fascinated by anything anymore. Technology's advancing too fast, and it's too accessible. It makes things too easy. Like, for example, photography. Now, everyone's a fucking photographer because you can get a really good camera that used to cost thousands of dollars for like $300 or $400 now. Not to mention the ones that are on your phone are already way better than cameras that were available just like 7-10 years ago. So everyone's a photographer now. Did you ever just walk down the street and you have to stop for someone because you're about to cross their path? They're taking a picture of everything because we're in an Instagram age, so everything's... We can't even just live in the moment now. Every moment becomes about Instagram. Oh, I can craft my image with this. Hey, let me put this plate of food. Hold on, everybody. Don't dive in yet. I know we're sharing this food at this restaurant. Let me take pictures first. Everything is a picture. Oh, let me Instagram that. Oh, hold. You can't even think or appreciate something in the moment. It's all already you're living in the future of how people will perceive you based on this. Oh, this is a cool graffiti. Instead of appreciating it, oh, let me Instagram. Let me take a picture. Let's take a selfie in front of the graffiti. Anyway, everyone's a photographer. I think it's just offensive to photographers. It has to be. People that have studied photography and do this, try to earn a living. Everyone's a fucking photographer now. That'd be as if they came out with a really easy playing guitar and everyone just played guitar on the street. It'd be offensive to real musicians. Or paint by number paintings. That's just a new thing now. Everyone just paints. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? Anyway, I'm sick of technology. I need a break. This is a recurring theme, but I need to go back to the woods, I think. Let's indulge in that technology. Let's read some emails.
Hello. You have 6,056 new messages. Aren't you fucking popular? Hope they're all from stalkers.
Okay, once again, just to remind you, you can email the show anytime at that's POD, at jdcomedyhour.com, and I encourage you to do so. Please give me a shout. Drop me a line. I want to hear from you. All right, let's see what we got here. Email number 1 from Lisa. Lisa did not specify where she's from, so when you do write, be sure to let me know. I'm curious. Lisa, Dear Julian, I love the podcast. I've been listening since episode 1. Thank you, Lisa. I must admit, I noticed that for every guest in your intro, you say, what can I say about this guy? And at the end of the interview, you say, well, I could talk to you all day. Do you really feel like that about each guest? Well, thanks, Lisa. I appreciate you listening, first of all. And secondly, paying great attention to detail to Mike. I'm going to guess you're a control freak in your life, Lisa. Is that accurate? I appreciate listening since day one. I appreciate the email, but what do you say to that? What do you say to that? I'll try to switch it up for you. Okay, from now on. Thank you for making me self-conscious on my own podcast. I will be more attentive and try to switch it up for Lisa. Anyway, I could talk to you all day, Lisa, but let me move on to another email. All right, email number 2 from Nick in New Brunswick. My home province, yeah. All right, Nick says, hey, man, love the podcast. I used to smoke pot myself, but I quit, and it seemed pretty easy. You seem to talk about it a lot. Nick. Wow, positive emails today. This is good. This is good. Nick, I'm going to guess you're one of those people that when you say you used to smoke pot, it'd be once in a while at a party, and someone would pass you a joint and have a little hoot, have a laugh, maybe some munchies, and go home and not touch it again for a while. That wasn't the case for me. That I could never have that relationship with it. And whoever says it's not addictive is that's pure bullshit. It's really addictive, still is. 9 months in, and I'm still. It's obviously not in my system, so it's not physically addictive, but mentally, psychologically, it is. I had this debate with my friend. He's saying it's not an addiction; it's a psychological addiction. Well, he's saying the word addiction right there. Anyway, I tend to want to make these emails funny, but thanks, Nick. Thanks for bringing that up. Addiction. What else can I say about you, Nick? I could talk to you all day. All right, that's it for emails. That was a light segment today, but that is it for emails. Email the show, pod@jdcomedyhour.com. Let me roll in. Let me roll in my interview today. My guest on the podcast, very interesting. This was one of my favorite talks so far. One of my favorite episodes to record. My guest was very interesting fellow by the name of Fabio Mantoan, an Italian gentleman who's been living in Mexico for the last 18 years, and he's traveled the world as a chef and line cook, and also a entertainment MC. Event MC all over the world. Speaks 7 languages. His family at one point was threatened by the drug cartel in Mexico. Anyway, he's got a really fascinating story. I think you'll enjoy it. See, I don't only interview comedians or musicians or artists. I want to interview people, interesting people that can bring something to you, the listener. So I think we accomplished that with Fabio. So enjoy my chat and. Yeah, that's it. Enjoy our chat. My chat with Fabio, our chat together. And just remember to be here. Be present. Nothing else matters. It's just me and you right now, and Fabio. Okay? Just you do you. You do you.
You and me belong, just like the flowers, laughing all day long. People, I need you loose. Sing a little song, then take a shower. Julian Dion, comedy hour.
All right, everybody. My guest today, a very interesting, fascinating gentleman, sits in front of me here in studio in Lemon Press Studios. What can I say about this guy? Well, actually, I don't know what I can say about this guy. Usually I have these elaborate intros for my guests, and but my knowledge on this guy is somewhat limited. All I know is that he's very fascinating, and he's got quite the story to tell, and I thought it would make for interesting radio to share with you guys. My guest today, he hails from Italy originally. He spent the last 18 years in Mexico, and now he finds himself here in Canada. He was the proprietor of 2 very high-end restaurants in Mexico, El Forno by 50 Friends in Jalapa and Veracruz. And he was also on a television show in Mexico, a cooking show, A la Veracruzana, A la Veracruzana, on TV Mas. And again, he's got a fascinating story. My guest today, Fabio Mantoan, sits in studio. Fabio, welcome.
Thank you, Julian. Actually, I'm very impressed about your pronunciation. Alava Cruzana, very good.
Yeah, that was great.
I'm very glad to be here with you guys, and I hope the whole interview will be, I just say, good for everybody. You know, let's have fun and let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Okay, so let's.
Hello, Canada.
A world. Actually, people all over are listening to this.
Okay, good, because I'm on internet, right?
Yeah, internet. Good. So people in Mexico and Italy can listen to this as well. So let's start. Which part of Italy are you from originally?
I'm from Milan, Italy.
You're from Milan, okay.
Yes.
And how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Right now, I'm 43 years old.
43 years old. And you're a chef by trade in Mexico. You owned 2 restaurants. And so tell us a little bit about your backstory. Paint a picture for us. So you're from Milan. And so, because my knowledge of your experience is somewhat limited. So all I know is that you were in Italy, then Mexico for 18 years, and now here. So at what point do you fall in love with cuisine? When do you start cooking? How do you gain that experience? And how do you get from Italy to Mexico? If you could just take us down that road a little bit.
Okay, I'm from Milan actually. So I went to school in Villa d'Este, which is an hotel school in Lake Como, and then if I'm not wrong, right now is the second best culinary school in Europe. So I graduated in the school and then started working in a Princess Cruise Line for 2 years.
And that was over in the Mediterranean. Where is that cruise line?
In the Mediterranean.
Okay.
In the Mediterranean, it's like Greece and in the coast of Italy.
And when you just explain a little bit to our listeners, when you're working on a cruise ship, how long are you out at sea? Like you do stints for a few months at a time? How does that work?
No, it was like a 2 weeks trip.
2 weeks and then 1 week off, sort of thing?
1 week off and back again. For another 2 weeks.
And you were a line cook?
Yeah, I was a line cook.
Nice. And how was that? How old were you at that point?
No, I was like 21, 22 years old.
21,
when
22.
I started. And I did it for 2 years only.
2 years. But that, I mean, I'm guessing that on a cruise ship of that like that in the Mediterranean, there's people from all walks of life that work on there. Because the first thing I learned from you is that you at one point knew 7 languages. I think you say now that you
Yes.
speak 4 fluently.
I speak 4 fluently right now because I lost the 3 others because I don't have time or people to practice it.
What were those 7 languages?
That was okay. Okay, let me start with the fluent.
Okay.
It's Italian, Spanish, French, and English.
Okay.
I used to speak Greek, Danish, and Arab.
Okay. And so you're a line cook. How many people in the kitchen in a Princess Cruise line?
We're like 75, 80 people, depends of the shift.
Crazy. And tell us a little
Yeah,
bit
we
how.
were cooking like for 2,500 people. I'm sorry.
And what's a day like as a line cook on a cruise ship? So from what I understand, I had a comedian in here not that long ago who did comedy on cruise ships, and his experience was that when you're staff, you're quarantined in the quarters in the like the not the hull of the ship, but the lower level. And so, do you work long days? What are the hours like, sort of thing?
No, it was like 8 hours or 10-hour shifts. It depends
Mhm.
of the events because sometimes we have special events like Christmas or New Year's Eve or Easter
Yeah.
or maybe some private show or private events. Then there was something different, so you work more hours,
Right.
and different dishes which are not included in a ship menu. So that's when you work a little bit more.
Right. And so that's it. So you're 21, you're working on a cruise. Are you meeting women on the cruise? How does that work?
That's a tricky question, man.
Yeah.
I'm married, man. Remember that?
Well, this is the past. This is over 20
Yeah,
years
I
ago.
I know. Well, you get to know girls and and women and tourists, whatever.
All right, I
But-
know that's frowned upon. You can't really have sex or fuck the tourists. They don't like that, right, on cruise ships.
No, they don't do that. They don't.
So you sort of intermingle with the other staff.
Yeah,
And,
basically, you finish your shift, you go back to your room,
yeah.
but there is all. I mean, come on, let's be real.
Let's
rules,
be real.
Rules are made to be broken.
Alright.
So what the hell?
You
Beep.
you can say fuck on this.
I can say fuck
You
on this
can say
program?
whatever
Good.
you want. Bitch,
Okay.
fuck,
What the
whore,
fuck?
cunt, whatever you want.
Okay, whatever. Thank you, I love you. I love this show.
The internet, maybe. Okay, so you're 21. You're working on a cruise liner. You do that for 2 years, 2 weeks on. Are you making good money at this point?
I used to make a good money.
and
Yeah,
on a cruise, it's
yeah.
good.
In those years, like 20 and over years ago, I used to make good
Mm-hmm.
money, good money.
And
And then you save every fucking penny because you always on board.
on your week off, are you flying home? Are you going home, or like how does that home?
No, yeah, I mean you have like a living point. Let's
Right.
say I live from Miami. I go around the Caribbean. I go back to Miami. So you have an apartment in Miami or a studio, whatever.
Right.
Even in the Mediterranean. I live from Naples. I go around the Mediterranean. I go to Greece and whatever, and then I go back to Naples. So you have your own apartment or studio where you can say, I mean, that's your own place, you know.
Yeah.
So on your week off, you go back to your studio or your home, and then you party, you rest. It's up to you, you know.
I imagine there's a lot of partying that happens.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fucking party.
A lot
man.
of hangover shifts and doing it.
Oh
So-
yeah, man. Especially in the kitchen, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we work with alcohol. You know, we have dishes with cognac and brandy and wine. So, and
A
look,
little bit in the
I've
dish,
been
a
a
little
cook.
bit
I've
free.
been a cook for like over 20 years right now.
Right.
Right? I'm not cooking anymore just for special event. I'm taking care of businesses like restaurants and running restaurants,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But all my life, I never met a sober cook.
Right.
Everybody in the kitchen drinks.
A little
So
bit of
you can-
brandy.
oh yeah, a little bit of everything.
A
You
little
know.
bit of brandy in the dish, then a little for yourself.
Exactly. That's the good thing. You know.
That's how you get through it.
Courtesy of the house.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, you don't have to abuse it. I mean, I don't want people to misunderstand. That's my message. You know, you're young. You get out from school. You start working. You go to a big place with different people from different nationality, and then it's all of a sudden your life change, and from nothing you see a lot of things and a lot of money and alcohol and women, whatever. So don't take this message wrong. It happens. Shit happens, you know, but take control yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so now you do that for 2 years. And what's the trajectory after that? Why did you stop doing the cruise ships? Did you want to just sort of do the more restaurant thing on the mainland and sort of?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. To work on a cruise ship is not easy because it's tough. It's tough. You're on the ocean, the sea for 15 days. You don't even see the sun sometimes. And then at the side, you make good money because you save every single penny. That's true. So I save a lot of money in those 2 years. So as the company can switch to hotels,
Right.
right? Because Princess, I used to work for Princess Cruise Lines, by the way, has a hotel all over the world, also under different names. So I asked my transference to hotels, and they accept that. So I went to hotel. I remember I went to Greece one time in Kos Island, and then I find out there was entertainment like on the ship. So I'm like, talk to the director. I'm like, I like entertainment. I don't want to be a chef anymore. So I'm like, kind of, my life switched a little bit. I wanted to try something different in tourism business. So the guy gave me a chance to try it out. So I started entertainment. It turns out I'm good.
So
All of a sudden, I was an MC.
So you were emceeing.
Yeah,
so
I was presenting all the show on the hotel and everything.
What kind of shows?
Everything, like a tropical show, a comedian show, whatever.
So you go from the kitchen in a cruise ship
To the
now,
theater. From
to
the kitchen to the theater.
But now you're not on cruise ships anymore. You're in hotels.
Yeah.
In Greece.
In Greece and in Tunis. I worked in Cuba. I worked in Dominican Republic. I worked in Colombia. I work in Venezuela. I work in the United States. I work in Denmark. I work in Italy. I worked in also in Greece on a hotel. I went to Greece again. So you name it.
And so you sort of do
In
this
Mexico, of course,
Mexico?
Jamaica.
And so you do this through your 20s. And how are you jumping from hotel to hotel? Like you'll do like a few weeks or months at
no,
one
it
place?
was sometimes it was like 6 months contract. Depends of the country. Like if you go to Arab country like Egypt and Tunis, they give you 6 months contract because you're European, and then it's up to the tour operator that you're working for. But I work also for 3 in Mexico. Actually, when the first time I came to Mexico, I worked for like 2 years
Right.
at the same hotel.
And are you renewing the 6-month contract over and
Yeah,
over?
I
or just-
renew it. Yeah, I renew it. It's up to me, if I want to renew it or not. If I want to change company in Dominican Republic, I last like 3 years, and I
Right.
worked for 3 different company. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it.
Say it.
Barcelona, Iberostar, and Melia, which are 3 giants, all-inclusive resorts all over the world, over 500 hotels.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool. It's cool. I like it.
And so out of all those places, you're doing that through your 20s. At this time, you're just emceeing? You're not in the kitchen at all? You're just go from hotel to hotel emceeing?
MCing, do water sports, do entertainment activities during the day, like it could be water sports or land sports, like, I don't know, archery or volleyball, beach volleyball, aqua gym, whatever,
In what language are you predominantly?
Yeah, I was doing like 5 languages.
So the shows in all different languages.
Yes.
That's amazing. And so before you...
And also, of course, I used to do, I improvised. I talked to the manager, and I used to give a cooking lesson also. It was an extra activity for the hotel, which was very successful,
So guests...
And let me tell you something, Julian. I had so many different phone numbers.
So guests that come to the hotel, the resort...
Remember, loves come from the kitchen.
That's right. So they want to learn how to cook, so you give them classes to guests?
I did something crazy, I give a cooking lesson, and at the same time, I give Italian classes.
Right.
Because I used to give Italian dishes,
Mm-hmm.
and all the ladies were like fascinated. So I used to give the ingredients in English and in Italian.
So they're learning.
They're learning
the language
They
and
start asking me, "How can you? How do you say this in Italian?" I'm like, this, and this. No, for example.
Right.
And then it turns out then, wow, first day like 5 people. 7 days after, I was like 35 people sitting in front of me, like all women. Wanted to learn how to cook,
Yeah.
or maybe learn how to speak Italian.
Or how to fuck.
Whatever. There's no comment.
Wow, that's amazing. So you do that. You're giving lessons. You're teaching a little bit. You're doing a little bit of everything. Sip. And which is your favorite place? First of all, let's talk about the languages. When I first met you, you told me you never actually studied any languages. How did you learn all those things?
By traveling and working in the kitchen.
Right.
I have to thank the kitchen because I work with people from all over the world, and then we don't know how to communicate. If you don't speak English, which is the main language, to work in a international cruise ship or international hotel, in the kitchen. And then there's two things: you open your ears, and you really listen. You really listen
Yeah.
what people say to you, or you lose your job.
Right.
So it's a matter of surviving,
Right.
because maybe like me, for example, I went over there. I didn't know any English. I didn't know any Spanish. I didn't know anything, and I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do now? And so then you open your ears, and then by like how do you call it when you move your hands? It's I don't know, like expression, like
Right.
the body expression, and then you have to focus because you don't want to screw the dish or the plate, because they're gonna charge you for that.
Right.
Because it's something that you don't have to do because you're working on a professional place. Even if you don't speak the language, even if you have a degree or a diploma or whatever, but if you're there, it's for something. It's for a reason. And the company, it doesn't accept that one dish comes out bad.
Right.
So you open your ears or you lose a job.
So you have to through body language,
Yeah,
like you said,
body language.
and listening.
It's up to you. Open your ears.
Just
I mean,
listen.
listen.
Right.
Listen in a real way.
Right. And you just pick it up.
You
Just
ju-
like
yeah, I pick it
before
up.
you know it, you're speaking 7
Yeah.
languages.
And at the beginning, I speak like the same language. I don't even know how to write it. Yes, to read it, I knew how to read it, but to write
Right.
it cost me a little. Even now, I don't write all the languages that I speak properly.
Right.
Okay, except my mother language, which is Italian.
Right.
But I mean, I text you today in English. I don't know if I'm making
Yeah,
mistakes,
right.
but whatever, But I never studied languages.
Right.
I just learn it.
There you go, folks. That's how you learn languages. You travel. Who needs Rosetta Stone?
No, the best school is traveling, man.
Right.
Just go, take your rock bag, say hello to your mama, say you go to the coffee store and buy a coffee and just take a plane and leave.
Just
Go
leave.
to Thailand, go to Bali, go to Greece, go to Italy, go to Mexico.
So that's how you do it. You just tell your mom you're going for a coffee and you never come
That's
back.
actually what I did.
Really?
Yes, because when I graduated, my mom is a doctor. She wanted me to go to the medicine school, and I'm like, okay, ma'am. I said, I need a break. I want to go to Greece on vacation for 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I came back 3.5 years later.
Did she?
I just disappeared.
We must have kept contact. And by
I did back in those days. There were no cell phones or anything.
right.
I used to call her like a normal phone, and then she actually, you're gonna laugh on this. She actually contracted a detective
No way to find you.
to find me because she wanted me to go back to the medicine school.
So this was like when you first went out on cruise ships.
Yeah, no, that's before the cruise ship.
Before, like you went out on your
Yeah,
own.
because I said I'm going to vacation. I went for 3.5 years.
And where did you go in those 3.5 years?
In Greece, close to Athens. I was in Glyfada. It's like 20 minutes away from the airport, but it's a residential area anyway. In the springtime, we used to go to the islands. Greek islands are beautiful, and until the winter, So my mother knew it, and I was in Greece, but I never told her where I was in Greece. That's
Right.
why she contracted a fucking detective come to Greece and find me. He never find me, of course, because
never found you.
I was moving all the time.
Right.
I was
Jesus.
I was running away guy, man.
Just
That was
giving
so
your
fun.
mom a
It
nervous
was hilarious.
breakdown.
Yeah.
So at this point you're 18,
Yeah, I was 19,
and what were you doing in Greece?
working a bar, restaurant,
Right.
yeah, anything.
Anything, just to sort of
Anything.
make ends meet, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
you
yeah.
eventually make it over to cruise. How do you make that leap from just traveling in Greece to cruise lines? How do you get the first cruise liner job? Like, how do you get into that?
Okay, the first cruise job, it was after after Greece, I came back, because I had to go back because my mother said, if you don't come back, I'm gonna cut you off.
Right.
Part of my family, so I was gonna lose all my fucking money.
Yeah. So
I'm
she's
like,
she's
okay.
funding you throughout this
She
time.
find me. I mean, I had to go back.
Right.
I had to go back, of course. So I went back, and then through the school, they get me a job in
Oh,
a cruise ship.
on the cruise
And then I
ships.
start traveling after that.
Okay, and so you go. Okay, so you run away from home. You find yourself in Greece for a few years, just working away, finding yourself. You're young. You're gaining all this life experience. You make it to cruise ships. You learn 7 languages. You go to hotels, travel all over the world. You're an MC. You're doing entertainment. You're doing cooking lessons / Italian lessons. Out of all the cities you've been to, which was your favorite experience? Before, let's assume Mexico, obviously, because you ended up there for 18 years. But before you landed and settled in Mexico, what was your best experience? Would you say your best city or your?
Wow, that's difficult to answer because every country that I've been, it's beautiful.
I imagine,
know.
especially at that age in your 20s, you're like a sponge.
Yeah,
You're
in
just
the
taking it all in.
20s up to 30s,
Yeah.
it's like you don't really understand what's going on. You just want to learn more, and then no matter if you sleep on the beach one night or the best hotel or whatever,
Yeah.
it's like you meet people, different people, and then I'm like I've this I don't know something is with me. Then I'm clicking
Mm-hmm.
very easily with people like I did with you, Julian, when I met you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hey, don't we're not gay, we're not couple. Don't misunderstand that thing, all right? So it's like I get along with everybody,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, you do.
So-
Very, very easy to get along with.
Yeah,
I
man.
think that comes with traveling and like you
yeah,
said,
that's
getting
that's what I'm saying. That's the best school,
Yeah.
I mean, keep your feet on your ground. Always remember where you're coming from. Always remember that.
Mhm.
No matter if you start from nothing, from bottom, and you get big money, one day this big money you're gonna lose it.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. So your mom's a doctor. Do you have any brothers and sisters?
Yes, I do. I have a half sister from my father's first marriage,
Mm-hmm.
and then she lives in Venice,
Venice?
Italy. Yes,
And what does your father do?
my father passed away 2 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
No, don't worry about it.
What did he do?
He was a manager for the air conditioning company called York
Mm-hmm.
in Italy. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you do that. You're sort of skating through your 20s and 30s. When do you land in Mexico, and how do you decide to settle then in Mexico?
Well, I came to Mexico I was in Gran Canaria before. From Gran Canaria, they sent me to Mexico, and I landed in Cancun. So I worked for this hotel for a couple of months, and then the same hotel as another hotel in Playa del Carmen, which is like 45 minutes away, driving from Cancun. I work over there, and then turns out that I met these people, and I used to work. We used to work together in Dominican Republic and in Venezuela, and in Isla Margarita, years back. So I changed hotel. I went to work back with them again, and then they offered me Huatulco because the entertainment team in Huatulco was very low. All the mention, the commentaries that the tourists leave, it was very, very bad. So they sent me over there just to try to pick up the audience,
Mm-hmm.
So it works out. It turns out I was good.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to
You just do
Huatulco.
sort of MC stuff
Yeah,
again? Still?
and then Huatulco, I met my ex-wife, actually. Then she used to work for Mexicana de Aviación, which was the main Mexican airlines. Then now it doesn't exist anymore. And she was staying there with a cruise ship, right?
Mhm.
With the crew staff. So I met Gina, that's her name,
Mm-hmm.
and then we fell in love back in those days, you know.
Mhm.
Then I turned 30, I remember, and then she lived in Mexico City because the main airport is over there. I'm like, Gina, I don't want to turn like those entertainer. No disrespect for Club Mediterranee. Like in Mediterranean Club, you have entertained like the 40, 45s, you got big ballets. You don't make fun anymore. You don't even have the energy to entertain people.
Right,
You know?
right.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to start getting depression. I'm like, okay, let me come to see you
In Mexico City.
in Mexico City like
Mhm.
a few days, and then I found my way to get a job because I have some contacts over there.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Mexico City, and she's like, tomorrow I'm leaving to Cancun, Los Angeles, Cancun, and back to Miami, and back to Mexico City. It was like 6 days flight, I'm like, okay, I'm broke. Well, Okay, don't worry about it, man. I got free tickets because I'm a flight attendant.
Yeah.
Cool. So we went on the trip together, and then we fell in love.
So you went with her. So you went with her traveling,
I went to this girl that I met. She was a stewardess.
right? And so like
Then afterwards, it's my wife.
right.
Well, my ex-wife.
So just to go back on the entertainment, you said it was sort of dragging you down. You're sort of getting over it. Describe specifically what you were doing entertainment-wise. So emceeing, like what were you? So you, let's say there's a band that's playing at the hotel. So you just
Yeah.
sort of go up. What do? You just entertain the crowd.
I do everything. I do like small shows, like contests, for the crowds. I introduce the band or the shows, whatever,
Mhm.
And I do like between show and show, when the dancer they need time to get changed and whatever. So I come out on stage and I make fun. I do say some
Comedy a little bit?
jokes. Yeah, I love comedy. That's
Mhm.
that's my thing. I love comedy. And then I used to do some kind of games with the audience, so that it was like a massive crowd, like screaming, "Fabio, you crazy motherfucker!"
Yeah.
like this, And sometimes I was like. Normally, I used to work like adults resorts. There were no kids like from 18 up.
Right.
So it was even easier, to say jokes
Oh,
because
yeah,
you can say fuck
Yeah.
on the microphone and nobody say anything to
It's
you.
hard to entertain kids because.
It is.
And I imagine there's a lot of rules, especially when there's kids and stuff with resorts and hotel. They're very strict, I imagine.
They are very strict, because you're not allowed to raise the volume of the microphone, the music, whatever, and you're not allowed to say anything like vulgar,
Right. Did you ever get in trouble for anything you said on stage?
Yes, I did sometimes.
Did you get ever fired from a job? Or
No,
anything?
never. I never get fired. Just they took my what you said? They paid my attention. They took my attention. How do you say it in English?
Took your attention?
Yeah, like they point a finger at me and they say, you scratch your balls when you were talking. I'm like, how they itching.
Oh, they were really like paying attention to your every move. sort of
Yeah, I
thing.
know because
Right.
I was like all the flashlights on me because I was
Right.
like the main guy. Not the main guy. I mean, no, not the one. I wasn't the main guy. I was just like an MC. I was a guy on the
Right.
stage with a microphone, just introducing to the.
And does that
people.
pay well doing that sort of thing for resorts?
Well, that age was good,
Yeah.
because you had a free hotel room, 5 stars
Right.
hotel. You eat, you drink, and you sleep with your guest.
Yeah.
So you can ask better things. So you don't care if they pay you good or not because everything is paid.
All right. Drugs?
No comment.
Let's get into
Of
it.
course,
Of
man.
course, yeah.
Of course, like lots of weed and alcohol. Of course,
Coke.
of course.
Of
Sometimes.
course. You got it. It's your late night gigs. How many
Hey,
shows are you
come
doing a
on.
night?
Listen. You work all day from 7 o'clock in the morning. All sport activities. You go lunch.
Yeah.
You rest 1 hour. You go back to the swimming pool. You're reversing for the night show.
Yeah.
You do the show. You go to the disco. You do show in the disco. You dance. After the disco, you take the customer out to town to different disco until 4, 5, 6 in the morning. You fuck all the rest of the. You go back to the hotel. You don't sleep.
Right. Do it
So-
all over again.
Exactly.
Fuck. That
So of
sounds-
course you need some coke
Yeah.
because you don't fucking. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you need it.
I mean, you're 20, you're 25, whatever, but
Yeah,
you're not
that's good.
Superman, man.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. It's one thing for the other.
Yeah. And how many shows a night? Or like just like one show, and then you said you take people out. So people are coming to the resort. You're actually taking them out into the cities, into the clubs and stuff like that.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, yes. After the show, after the hotel program ends,
wow. Right.
because after the show, you go to the disco like for 1 or 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like 1 o'clock, everything shuts down. So after 1 o'clock, if the guests decide to go out with you call a cab, for the hotel club, and you take them downtown to clubs.
That's
And
amazing.
I was the fucking king of the downtown,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I was, I bring people to the club. They give me money.
Yeah.
I have free drinks.
Mm-hmm.
I know everybody.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. I mean, I know comedians that would kill for that job, and that's just sort of something you sort of fell into, just randomly, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so that answers that. So now you're in Mexico. You fall in love with Gina. Yes? What's her
Yes.
name? Okay, I got scared for a minute. I thought maybe that was another one. I'm like, shit, was that it?
Yeah. That's
The way you looked at me, I'm like, oh fuck. She's a flight attendant.
She was.
She was. You're in Mexico City. How do you make the transition from MC to back in the kitchen?
When I decided to leave hotel business because it was too rough, you know, you turn 30.
Yeah.
You think a little bit different, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do the rest of my life, man? So one thing that really upset me, because I worked for big companies for many years, and then when I turned 30 years old, I asked them, I want to take a course to be hotel manager because it's part of the hotel program,
Right.
and they just give me the finger.
Mm.
Because they have the nephew or the friend of the nephew or whatever. You know, these fucking little kids, like 18 years old, they sit on a chair where they don't belong because they don't know shit. Actually, their secretaries do their job. You know, and they're making thousands of dollars a month.
Right.
They don't even speak one fucking language.
Right.
That's what really pisses me off.
So there's no opportunity for growth, so you decide, fuck the hotel business. I'm going back into the restaurants.
For who?
Like, there's no opportunity to grow. You're saying you can't get
Well,
those
back in
positions.
those days, no. Not for me. Well, don't misunderstand me. It's not every hotel. That was my experience.
Right,
That's
right.
personal.
Right.
Okay, so don't say that there is no opportunity.
Okay.
Maybe there are opportunity, and maybe for me that's what happened.
Right.
That's my story, my personal story.
And you don't really want to be an MC for the rest of your life. You know, going from club to club, you sort of want to settle down. So, what's your first before you get Il Forno by 50 Friends? How do you get back? So, what's your first restaurant job after the hotels?
I opened a restaurant.
That's it.
Yes.
From hotels to fuck, I'm just gonna open my own place.
I opened my own fucking place.
And that was Il Forno.
No, that was in Veracruz called Roma de Noche.
Roma de
Means
Noche.
Roma by night.
Okay, what kind of
Italian restaurant.
Italian restaurant.
Italian restaurant, but more like a homemade cuisine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like a low lights, and then everything was like brick inside, and had paintings like from the I don't know, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, of course, fakes. You know what I mean. But it was like it was a cool place.
And bathroom break.
Yes. Can I
Okay.
take a break?
Yeah, we're gonna take a short break, and we'll be right back with more with Fabio Mantoan.
Thank you, guys.
This episode of the Julian Dion Comedy Hour podcast, episode number 7. That's right, this one right here, brought to you once again by Echo One Photography, Toronto. Hey, if you're listening to this, comedians, musicians, business person, anybody, if you want some headshots done, look no further. Any photography needs, really. Echo One Photography can do that for you. You own a business in Toronto? Hey, you want to shoot your products for that, e-commerce or advertising purposes? Well, hey, Echo One will do that too, yeah. Email Eugene, EUGENE, at echo1photography.com. Enter JDCH in the subject line for special offers. Do that today. Back-to-back ads. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but hey, you gotta pay the bills. Toronto listeners, this episode is also brought to you by HP Audio. If you're looking for DJ services for any sort of event that you can think, anything you can think of, really. Business luncheon, I mentioned that before. Luncheons are fun, huh? How about a good luncheon? Want a DJ? Spice up that luncheon with some DJing. Weddings, birthdays, private events, anything at all. Contact HP Audio. Elaborate audio installs. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't even try to do it yourself. Hire the professionals at HP Audio. Email djhpaudio@gmail.com and enter JDCH once again in the subject line for special offers. Thank you. And we are back with Fabio Mantoan. And you had a little something to say, Fabio, a little dedication?
Yes, actually I do. I have a dedication to my girl, Madeline Machu Mondino, who lives in Huatulco, Oaxaca. Madeline, I love you so much. You're my baby girl, and I'll see you in a few days. Just wait for me, baby. I love you, and I send you so many kisses.
Okay, well, just
that was too fucking cursy. I know.
a little visual for the listeners. He's pointing to a camera right now and singing or saying this, improvising. That was very Italian of you, by the way. I should say also he took off his shirt to for that dedication.
Yeah, right. Look at my nipples too, right?
That's the Italian stallion coming out.
That's my Italian part, right?
A little dedication to his Chilean lover who's in Huatulco?
Yeah, Mexico, Huatulco, Mexico.
Huatulco, Mexico. Okay.
And she's my love.
Quickly get back to the story. We left off with you owning this restaurant. What was the name of the restaurant again? Your first one.
Roma de Noche.
Roma de Noche.
Means
that's right.
Roma by night
Roma.
in Spanish. That was in Mexico, in Jalapa, Veracruz.
Jalapa, Veracruz. Jalapa, Veracruz.
Jalapa, Veracruz is the pronunciation, man.
And so did you own that? How do you get into getting a restaurant? You just find partners, investors?
No, I did it with my saving from the hotel business.
Oh, okay. So and you're alone. So you do this on your own.
Yes.
And how long did you have that restaurant?
For 1.5 years.
1.5 years.
Yeah,
and
I give it away.
You gave it away.
Yeah, I give it away because I moved to somewhere else.
What do you mean you gave it away? You sold it or just?
Yeah, I sold the restaurant and the license and everything.
Right.
And I went back to Mexico City. And that's another story, very interesting. Actually, I went to Mexico City for a while because my ex-wife lived there,
Mm-hmm.
because the airport. Because I remember I told you she was a flight attendant. So, and then I was there for a little while, and then I found a job in Puerto Vallarta, which is on Pacific coast of Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Vallarta, and I met this very interesting guy called Jean-Pierre Renucci, who was owner this fine gallery called Corsica. It's from Corse, the island of Corse,
Mm-hmm.
Corsica. So it's a contemporary fine art, best Mexican artist. So I started working for him, and then as a salesman.
Mm-hmm.
And the second day,
As a salesman.
as a salesman.
Okay, so
I
you
didn't know
went-
anything about art,
Right.
especially Mexican artists.
Mm-hmm.
Sculptors and painters. So the second day, I saw like 8,000 bronze sculpture. And the third day, I sold another one for 12,000, and so on. So I started learning. He teach me everything. And it turns out I was the best seller. So I used to make very good money in the ER business.
Shit, so you're sort of a jack of all trades. You've done it all, basically.
Yes, I did. Because, you starve and then you try things and it turns out and it's good for you and then you do it. That's the whole thing.
And so how long were you in the art trades?
Altogether, from Puerto Vallarta, because I went to Mexico City, 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
And then so how do you get back? But you seem to, no matter what you do, always fall back into the restaurant business. So then after 8 years, you open Il Forno by 50 Friends?
No, after 8 years, I went to Playa del Carmen. Actually, I went to internet, and then I saw an announcement from a lady who has a art gallery in Playa del Carmen, and then she was looking for a director, a manager.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay. So I call her up. She's American, and she said, the gallery is my mother do something else, but my mother went back to the States, and then I need somebody to run it. Okay, go to Playa del Carmen, take a plane, I go to Playa del Carmen from Mexico City, and so it was on the 5th Avenue, which is the main street in Mexico City, in Playa del Carmen, with the big stores and everybody goes.
Where? Which city?
Playa del Carmen,
Okay.
Riviera Maya.
Okay.
It's like 45 minutes away from Cancun. If some of the audience knows Mexico and Cancun, of course they know Playa del Carmen. And La Quinta Avenida, that's the name in Spanish, which is very famous. So anyway, I went over there and I saw that there's no contemporary art in Playa del Carmen or Cancun.
Mm-hmm.
So just something clicked in my mind. I'm like, okay, let's start open the business of contemporary art, because there's so very big mansions, lots of rich people, beside the tourists, lives there. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So I talked to this lady, and then she's like, okay. So what do I have to do? I'm like, okay, so take this artwork, then you have because it was like a I don't know, like aquarella or something like this. That wasn't very fine art. I mean, artists, good artists, but different style. Like maybe you can buy painting for $200. I used to sell painting for $8,000. It's a big difference. So I'm like, okay, let me take care about it. I go back to Mexico City. I talk to my artists, and I bring the old art. Not for free. I'm like, they give me the art pieces. How do you call it? Conception. Then when they give you the piece, then you sell it. If you don't sell it, you give it back.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the word in English. Anyway, so I went back to Mexico City, and
wait, so they sell
they
you,
give me the art pieces,
right?
and I put it in the gallery.
Okay.
And then if I sell it, okay, and I keep the
Oh, right. They just put it up. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I see. They put it up there. If you sell it, great. If you don't, you take it back and try
Yeah.
to sell it elsewhere.
No. I give it back, and I exchange it for some different work,
Right.
right? Because I can see it's not market for this particular piece.
Got it.
So it turns out good. So I went to Playa del Carmen. I had to change the old gallery. I put money from my own pocket, and then I spent quite a lot. I was in Quinta Avenida, which is the main street. So what happened was then it was low season, so it was no customers. So I spent like 4 months paying rent and paid like lots of money in air conditioning because all the art pieces like oils and
Right.
the canvas has to be in air conditioning. And then all of a sudden in January I did my first, because it was the ice season, I did my first individual exposition from one artist called Emilio Sola. He's a Spanish artist, very good. He sells lots in Europe and especially in France. Individual exposition, and then the guy who opened the exposition was the ambassador of Spain. He was the ambassador of Italy because I'm Italian. It was Galavisión from Miami. It was Televisa from Mexico, and all the magazine from Mexico. I did great. I sold that very night, the opening night for his exhibition, I sold $65,000 in artwork. So it was good. 1 week later, something happened to me. I was in the gallery because I was by myself, nighttime, like 10:30 in the evening. And there is a criminal organization called Zetas in Mexico, which is very famous, very bad. So 2 guys came in and then start slapping him like, you're the owner. I'm like, no, I'm not the owner. I pretend not to be,
Yeah.
because I was the director. I bring the old piece. I was responsible for the old fucking thing, And I would like to pretend because I know the Mexican way. I'm like, no, I'm not the owner. They're slapping me around. I'm like, I denied. I'm not the owner. Until they take out a picture of my wife and my 3-year-old daughter coming out from the kindergarten.
No shit.
Yes, shit. So I shit myself.
So they show you a picture. They've been
Yeah.
following your
And
family.
they said to me, if you don't pay us 15,000 pesos every week, which is about $1,200 every week, we kill your family, we burn your fucking place down.
Holy fuck.
That very moment, I was sweating a lot. I started crying. I pick up the phone. I called my wife. She was home in Playa del Carmen. Because we moved from Mexico City, I took my wife and my daughter with my project. So I call them like, back our stuff. We'll leave tonight. I'm like, she's like, why? You crazy? Pack the thing. I'm coming home right now. I closed. I took a cab. I went back home. I'm like, helping her packing. We went to the airport. We fly to Merida, from Merida to Veracruz. She from Veracruz. And then we either way. So I canceled my Facebook account, my email address. I changed my phone number because I was scared. I left everything in the gallery. It was over 2.5 million pesos in value. We're
You just left it there.
we're talking about like 300,000 American dollars
And you just left it
in
there.
art pieces. Yes.
Holy shit.
So what happened? I called a lady. This is what happened. My family is more important. Please help me to send all the art pieces back to the artists in Mexico City because they're theirs. They're not mine. They're not yours.
Right.
Okay. And at the beginning, she was like, "No, I don't give a fuck," and blah blah blah. So we start arguing. I'm like, "Listen," her name was Eder from Seattle. I'm like, "Listen, Eder, this is about my fucking family. I brought the pieces. That's my responsibility. If I don't bring the pieces back, they're gonna sue me. I'm gonna go to jail." And I lost everything. I left my house. I left my car. I left my furniture because I took my fucking first plane, leaving Cancun. So don't give me that bullshit. So she agreed. The next day, she contracted a truck. They put everything, and then they sent everything to Mexico City. In the meantime, I write emails to 30 artists to go to one single place to pick up their pieces.
Crazy.
It was a fucking nightmare. I lost everything.
Holy shit.
Everything.
You said your daughter was 3. She's 6 now. So this wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, it was 3 years ago, man.
Holy shit.
That was 3 years ago.
And how far is Veracruz from where you were? So like did you feel completely safe when you were there? Or you still felt like you had to
because
hide
I canceled everything. You know,
Right.
no telephone, no cell phone, no email, no Facebook, no nothing. I even fucking canceled the website from the gallery.
Wow. That's crazy. Okay, so just to go back a little bit, let's just paint a bit of a picture. So tell me about that night. So you're alone in the gallery.
Yes.
It's after closing.
No, it's before closing. The gallery closed at 11 o'clock every evening.
And what time do these guys come? You said 2 guys from Zetas?
Yeah, that's a drug cartel, the criminals, you know, the very, very bad people in Mexico. It's a big crime organization. You know, they dealing with drugs, extortions, prostitution, kidnapping, and you name it. You know, all the bad things happen in Mexico. Most of them are those guys called the Zetas, like the letter Z.
Yes.
Zetas. Zetas, yes.
And so what time is it when they come in?
You know what's funny and at the meantime very scary, you know? In Mexico, people don't even want to mention the Zetas. Like, they don't even want to mention because they're afraid, because they're everywhere, you know? I'm not like that. I'm really want people to know that these things are real.
Right.
This is not a fantasy. This is not a joke, you know? These guys, I mean, they're from the government, you know, I think, because they're ex-military, trained, and armed. Even they have more weapons than the Mexican army, and they're very organized.
So what is it, like 10 p.m. at night? What time is that?
Yeah, it was like 10:30.
10:30. So
just 30 minutes before the closing hours.
30 minutes.
Because I was always alone in the gallery.
Right.
You know, I opened my working hour was like 11 in the morning till 2. Then I had a break till 5, and it was from 5 to 11. Every day it's from Monday to Saturday.
And you're there alone. It's nighttime, and you said 2 guys walk in.
Yeah, 2 guys with beard, all sweating. You know,
sweating, big guys.
Big guys, big guys.
Much bigger than yourself.
Oh yeah, I'm not a big guy, man. But very big guys, and they were sweating, ugly faces. You know, I mean, something's wrong here.
Right.
Because of the way they just walked in into the gallery.
Do they walk in and just go straight to you, or do they walk in and look around a little bit?
No, they went straight to me because it was like the glass door, and my desk was like 3 meters away.
Right.
You know, facing the door. So I saw them coming in straight away.
And do you stand up at this point?
No, I sat down. I still tried to be calm, you know, because I knew there's something wrong. They came over, they grabbed my neck, started slapping me around, you know, and asked me questions, telling me that I was the owner and blah, blah, blah. The things I told you before.
And do they have weapons on them?
Yeah, they had 2 guns.
2
one
guns.
each. Yes, they showed me the gun. When they treated me and they said that when they told me actually, if you don't pay that kid your family and burn your place down, they showed me the gun, you know, and then I'm like, okay, so I agree, okay, I will pay you. They left. They said they were coming back here. I think it was Thursday. They said they were coming back next Thursday to collect the money. So
and,
then
but why would they target you just randomly out of the blue? Just
no. That's what I've heard. You know, my gallery was on the main street, Fifth Avenue, you know, Quinta Avenida in Playa del Carmen. So you have actually below me was an International Diamond store. You know, all the good stores they paying this guy.
Oh, got it.
You know, it's like the old mafia in the States or in Italy. You know,
you're in their territory, so
exactly. So it was kind of new. I was kind of new. I had like few months over there.
Right.
So it was my turn to
pay up.
To pay up, exactly.
And how long are they inside the gallery before they leave?
They were for like 10, 12 minutes, but it looks like fucking
Fuck.
hours for me, you
I
know,
can't
because
even
especially when they show me the picture of my little girl.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, this is not real. And I'm like, I'm tripping, I'm dreaming. So it was a pretty scary thing, you know, to see and to live that very moment, you know, because
Of course.
I mean, family is family, man, no matter what.
And to see that they've been following your family.
Exactly, that's
is-
the point. You know, they've been following my family. They've been following my wife all the way to the kindergarten. Of course, they knew where I lived.
Mhm.
You know, because they were following her when she was going to pick up my daughter. You know, so I was scary because, I mean, I thought if they got picture of her, they got picture of me in and out from the gallery. You know, all the art pieces, very recognized artists, valuable things. You know, I'm like, what am I gonna do? I mean, so many thousand things just passing by my mind in so very fast time. You know, I didn't know what to think. But my reaction was like, pick up the phone, call my wife, pack, let's go.
Let's go.
We leaving.
So you didn't even wait till 11 o'clock? You just
No.
fucked
As soon
it.
as they left, man, it was like 11:15. Fuck it. They walk out the door. I closed the light. I locked the door. Move. I left.
You're gone.
Yes.
That's insane. So I got to imagine that they followed you home at one point to find out where you lived and then find out you have a wife. and find
Actually, I had a car, but that very night I took a cab back home.
Right.
I left the car over there.
But I mean, initially to know where you live and have a wife and kids, they must have at some point, some night,
Exactly.
followed you home.
Yeah, and you know, I think so.
Right?
I don't know. I'm not sure, but I packed the very night, and then we call a cab because I even left my car in Playa del Carmen. We left
Right.
everything.
Everything.
We just pick up the passport, some money, some papers, you know, and leave.
Gone.
So I just disappeared for a while, you know. So I lost everything. I turns up to live in my father-in-law's house with my wife and my daughter, with all furniture and car and everything over there in Playa del Carmen.
And how long until you start feeling safe again? Like almost immediately when you're in Veracruz? 'Cause
No, immediately no. I was like hiding for like 2 months,
Holy shit.
you know, and no money. And depending from my father-in-law, you know how embarrassing that?
Mm. It's embarrassing, but he must understand to a certain extent. I mean, the
Yeah, he
circumstances.
did.
You know?
Actually, did. He did understood. And then I was looking on the internet and I found this advertising and this 50 Friends restaurant company. They were open. They were looking for a manager. So I sent my resume, and then they answered me. I went to interview, and it turns out then it was the manager of the company and the executive chef of the old restaurant. Altogether, they have over 49 restaurants in Mexico. It's a big company.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out this guy, I met him 20 years ago in Italy when I was in a cooking school.
No way.
Yeah,
And
I met him in Italy 20 years ago. And it's like, Fabio, you're in. I took care of you. So I was managing 2 restaurants. I opened 2 restaurants the same fucking day.
So that was the El Forno by 50 Friends.
Each Forno by 50 Friends.
So that's the 50 Friends are the
Exactly.
right.
So I did so good. Then I was there. I was running from one restaurant to the other. And then
How far apart were they?
maybe 30 minutes driving. It's the 2 of restaurant was the very ends of the edge of the city
Right.
of Calapa.
Wow.
You know, so at the first month I break selling records
Mm-hmm.
without having alcohol license because
No alcohol, just food.
just food.
And you're
Because the license was they were doing it, so I wasn't able to sell alcohol. So I sold more than all the other restaurant in Mexico from the same company without alcohol.
That's crazy.
So the governor of Veracruz came out with a plate because he has a program called 1,000 Enterprises.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out that my restaurant was the best restaurant of the year.
And you're owning the restaurant at this point?
No.
Oh.
I was managing the restaurant.
Managing the restaurant.
You know, so the voice came around, the cameras and blah blah blah, and then the TV show, the TV station was there. It says is where they offered me to do a TV show, cooking TV show,
Mhm.
and the cooking TV show was in my restaurant.
And so what's your role immediately when you start? When they bring you in, all right away, you're a chef. You start managing.
No.
Or
I was a manager.
manager.
But because I know about kitchen, because I'm a
Yeah,
chef,
yeah.
because I studied that, I was taking care of everything, details, taste, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Presentation, and I mean, the good way.
And it's an Italian restaurant, so you
Yeah,
you
Italian restaurant.
very familiar with the cuisine.
Yeah,
Obviously.
yeah. Very.
Okay, so you were managing those restaurants.
Yes.
Up until recently.
Up until recently, then I had problem with my wife. Well, actually, right now it's my ex-wife, Gina, the stewardess. So I left to Huatulco.
Mm-hmm.
And then is when I met this Chilean girl, Madeline, the
Who
girl
you just
I was
sung for.
Yeah, exactly.
Put your shirt back on, by the way.
Yeah. Just, I dry my nipples anyway. Don't worry.
Wow. Holy shit. That's crazy. I don't even know what to say. When I brought you in here today, I thought I knew, I knew obviously nothing. I thought I knew you were a chef, had 2 restaurants. I thought you owned them. Turns out you were managing director.
Yeah, I told you, man. Maybe you didn't
Right.
remember. I told you I was the manager when
Right.
I showed you the video of my TV show,
Right,
which is
right.
on YouTube as well.
Mm-hmm. How can we actually? I'll throw up links to those videos if you want to see Fabio in action, doing what he does best. Is that your what's your passion? After all these years of having done so many things, would you say cooking is your passion?
No, sex.
Sex. Again, put your pants on.
All
He's got no
right.
pants in here. So okay, that's cool. So then what brought you to Canada now? If you could share.
Actually, I have a friend in Mexico. I went to see my daughter from Huatulco to Veracruz to the Gulf of Mexico, and then I have a good friend of mine, and then he used to live here in Canada. And then he said, "Why don't I wanted just to have a break,
Yeah.
from everything?" I'm like, "Okay, I want to go to Canada."
Mm-hmm.
And then see what's going on up there, because I went to Canada. I've been to Canada before, but only Vancouver for twice,
Vancouver's
and just
beautiful.
shopping,
Mm-hmm.
just for like 3 days. And then the guy said, "I lived in Toronto. Toronto is a great city. You can do good things. You can work, make good money,
Mhm.
and everything." So I decided to come up here. But I didn't do it because I wanted to come here, make money, get rich, like
Mhm.
like the American dreams, or in this case, the Canadian dreams. No, it's not my case. I came here just to
Change
to
of pace.
break. Yeah. To have some peace and get away from everything and everybody
Mhm.
for a little while. So I'm here right now, and then actually I'm here because that friend in Mexico introduced me to this guy called Raul, which sitting next to me right
He's in
now.
here in studio, Bruno Campesito.
Yeah, Raul, you want to say hi to the audience in Spanish? Hola.
Okay,
It's
so
shy.
let's rewind just a little bit. You're managing 2 restaurants. You're breaking sales records. You're doing very well. How does a TV show come about? Because you said the governor, you got that award. That's how the
Yeah.
TV show came.
Yeah, because when the governor showed up, the TV studio was there,
Mm-hmm.
So, and after that, they start asking me to cook for like private parties for the ex-president and the governors.
Because you cook for the governor, right?
Yeah, and the president.
President. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, it just came off and said, we want us to cook for the president. I mean, the bodyguards or some guy who representing the president.
How do they know you? Just from the TV show?
Yeah, from the
Okay.
TV show and for the government.
Mm-hmm.
For the government who gave me the
Right,
the
right,
plate,
the award, right. Because
So I accepted. I'm like, okay, I did it. So I make very special dishes, of course, with wines and
Mhm.
everything. So very best ingredients. Or like they used to send a private jet to Los Cabos to bring live lobsters
Mhm.
in water,
Mhm.
or shellfish or whatever, and mushrooms from Japan, some stuff like this,
Mm-hmm.
a politician have good money and they just spend like people money,
Mm-hmm.
So I did it, and then turns out that I used to make good money for a one-night dinner, and I was untouchable because no police could stop me because they give me like a pass, police, anything happened to me, like they stop me when I was driving or whatever.
Mhm.
I show this number, it's like a tag. I'm like, I'm untouchable, which was very good for me. I mean, I live in Mexico, so shit happens over there. So I was like the untouchable.
Mm-hmm. And so, what happens for you? How do you leave the restaurants? Is that because the divorce?
Yes.
And why did you end up divorcing your wife? Or you're not really divorced, you're just separated?
We're
right?
separated. We're still married by papers,
By papers, and you
Yes.
have a daughter together. She's
We have a
turning
lot-
6.
She's turning 6 October 8th. Her name
Mhm.
is Alessandra. She's a beautiful little girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so why do you and the wife splits?
Because my lifestyle,
Yeah.
same old, same old.
Mhm.
Because, when people from TV or politician, you sometimes don't spend the night at home. Shit happens. You know
Shit
the story,
happens.
I mean.
Yeah.
And then even if you say, I was cooking and I couldn't leave because the bodyguards didn't let me go.
Mm-hmm.
No, you were with another girl, you were fucking other woman and whatever, blah, 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 blah. No matter what you say, they never believe you, man. So, can I give a tip? Never get married.
Never get married. There you
Never
go.
get married.
You've heard it here first from Fabio Mantoan. Well, listen, I could talk to you. I say this to a lot of my guests. I could talk to you all day. I could really talk to you all day because we've literally just scratched the
Thank you.
surface. There's so many more questions I want to ask you. We'll do this again. You're unfortunately headed back to Mexico.
Yeah, in 2 days. I go back to Mexico, go back to Huatulco.
So by the
Hopefully-
time this airs, you're right now. You're in front of me in my studio. By the time this airs, by the time you're listening to this, listeners, Fabio will be on a beach somewhere in Huatulco, with just doing it, doing the thing.
Doing the thing, exactly.
Well, listen, man. Thank you so much for dropping by
No,
and
you're very
doing
welcome.
this, and thanks for being honest and open. That's key to good interviews. You did a good job. Thanks, Fabio. And I will be coming down to Mexico to see you. Maybe I'll bring some mics. We can record part 2.
Definitely. I'm waiting for you. You're going to be my guest, my very special guest. I'll take care of you. You know that. And guys, don't be afraid of Mexico. Mexico is a beautiful country. Don't listen to all this bullshit and they cry and they shoot you and they cut heads off. No to tourists. Come to Mexico, have a great time, get laid, get tan, and drink lots of margarita.
This-
all right?
th-
And ask for Fabio. I'll be there for you.
This coming from the guy who had his family threatened. Anyway, thank you, Fabio, once again. I appreciate it, buddy. You're a good man, and I'll see you around.
Thank you. You're a good man too, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and watch your
I
head.
love you.
Thank you too, man.
A beautiful waste of time. A waste of time.
There we are, episode number 7 in the books. Thanks to my guest, Fabio Mantoan, who's listening to this from Mexico right now. Mexico, hola, hermano. And thanks to you, once again, always thank you for listening. Email the show, pod at that's pod at jdcomedyhour.com. Follow on Instagram and Twitter at jdcomedyhour. Facebook.com/ JD Comedy Hour. Check out the Facebook page for some pictures of the live shows. By the way, thanks to everyone who came out on Wednesday night for my birthday show. That was a lot of fun. There's some pictures up there on the Facebook page. There's a video of Garage Baby performing this very song, Waste of Time. I think that's from a couple weeks back. And thanks to my producer, Adam Fox, sound engineer, Miles Lacroix. Thanks to everybody. Mom, I love you. Thanks again for tuning in. If you could do me this one solid, go to iTunes and rate it, comment on the episodes, or the podcast rather. It really helps boost the ratings. And share it if you like this. Share it with people. Anyway, thanks a lot for listening. Tune in on Tuesday for episode number 8. I love you. Watch your head.
I roll over and go back to bed. It's such a beautiful waste of time. It's just a waste of time. A beautiful waste of time. It's just a waste of time. Wandering eyes and itchy feet. I'm just a thin nervous shadow walking backwards down the street. The landing's bitter, but the falling is oh so sweet.
check your levels.
All the shark has pretty teeth, dear.
Picture to my girlfriend.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, now touch me, baby. Can you see? Then I am not alone.